Hello and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's video we'll be discussing what went wrong for Jack Grealish at Manchester City because he's been heavily rumoured with a transfer away from the club in the summer window. But before that, as always, like, comment and subscribe. It is very much appreciated and it goes a long way in helping us build a community on my channel. And all the subscribers, all the likes and the comments on my videos, all the support on social media as well, it's absolutely fantastic and I can't thank you guys enough. But let's just get straight into the video, shall we? I think we should start off by speaking about Jack Grealish breaking through at Aston Villa and what makes him such a special player throughout his whole career, okay? For me, ever since I saw him in the FA Cup final against Liverpool under Tim Sherwood, right, I knew from that day he was an amazing player, or he was going to have an amazing career, because everything was running through him. The type of player that Jack Grealish was at that time was fantastic, okay? When you speak about Jack Grealish, he likes to pick up the ball from deep, from the defence, running into midfield, taking on defenders, cutting through like one or two defenders, making them look silly and playing it into the forwards and trying to create chances through there. And then obviously he spent, I want to say, 3 seasons in the Championship where he was the main man for Aston Villa. Every player on the Aston Villa team, whether that was John McGinn, Conor Hourihane, Albert Adoma, Tammy Abraham, all these types of players, they all know as soon as you get the ball, pass it to Jack Grealish, because he was a difference maker on that team. He was truly the special player on that team, the world-class talent at that age in the Championship. And he was probably one of the main reasons why they got Aston Villa promoted under Dean Smith, because it was a bit of a rocky season. Obviously Steve Bruce got sacked, and then once Dean Smith got the job, got hired, once Jack Grealish came back from injury and got the captain's armband, we just knew that was going to spur Jack Grealish on to get Aston Villa promoted, because having that 10-game winning streak was absolutely fantastic. I've not seen that before happen as an Aston Villa fan myself, so that was absolutely incredible, and I feel like that gave Aston Villa the motivation to win the playoff finals. It honestly did, because when you think about Jack Grealish, right, everything runs through him. I think I've said that a few times in this video already, but it honestly did. When you think about some of the games in the Championship, right, he's a big game player. If you think about that game, especially against Birmingham City, right, where he got punched by the fan, okay, and some players would have crumbled in that situation, but Jack Grealish is just different gravy, okay, and he came back and scored a winning goal for Aston Villa. Honestly, it really felt like he was made to be an Aston Villa legend, and he truly is. And okay, don't get me wrong, some fans hate him because of the way he sort of left the club, how he didn't like do a ending video like some of the players have done, spending a lot of time at their club and whatnot. I feel like he did put out a statement, but it did feel like very PR and whatnot, so a lot of fans were sort of slightly disappointed from that aspect, and I can understand why. He was a youth player, had a lot of success at Aston Villa, and that's why he did get his £100 million move to Man City, because he got Aston Villa promoted. He kept them up in the league. They didn't get relegated because of that goal against West Ham, and yeah, it was fantastic. And then obviously he kept them up in the Premier League. He sort of stabilised Aston Villa to become a Premier League regular once again under Dean Smith, and then he sort of got his first England cap under Aston Villa as well, and then got his £100 million move to Man City. But for me, even though he's had so much success at Manchester City and he's won so many trophies, that's the reason why he left Aston Villa, to win a trophy in his career. I don't know if it's been a success or not. Don't get me wrong, it's not been a failure from any sense of imagination, because he has won trophies, and that is every footballer's aim, to win a trophy in their career. I'm not saying it has been a failure, but from the playing perspective, from the his personal views and how he wants to see the game, how he wants to play the game, I don't think it has been a success, because I just don't know if he suits the style of play like Pep Guardiola wants him to. Jack Grealish wants to express himself. He wants all the freedom on the pitch. He wants to be able to run at players and drive at defenders and break the lines and whatnot, and make chances through there and with the midfielders, with the attackers. And I just don't think his style of play suits Pep Guardiola, because he's sort of digressed in his playing style over the last 3 seasons. We've seen that from the lack of minutes. We've seen that from not getting enough goal and assist involvements, and his dribble numbers have gone right down, and all that sort of stuff. It's not been great from that aspect of his time there at Manchester City, and that's why I feel like he's been heavily rumoured to a transfer away back to his former team in Aston Villa. He's been linked with Everton, West Ham, so we'll have to see where he does go in the summer. But I feel like if we just quickly read out some of the stats from his season, okay, you know, he's played 715 minutes in all competitions, which from any footballer's perspective is not good enough, because you know, whether that's through Pep Guardiola not trusting him enough in that sort of left wing position, whether that's through injuries, you know, it's just not good enough. And when you think about some of his stats in the last 3 seasons, okay, he's only scored 11 goals and got 19 assists in the last 3 seasons for Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. So for whatever reason, it's just not working for Jack Grealish. He doesn't get the freedom off the pitch. He doesn't get the freedom in that left wing position, in that number 10 position where they've tried him out a few times as well. It just doesn't work. He doesn't have that freedom as he had at Aston Villa, where he got the full team and the full support behind him from the managers, from the players. Everybody knew what Jack Grealish was at Aston Villa. He was the main man, and for Man City, I just feel like he's another piece to the jigsaw that just hasn't worked for you know, the team's sort of style of play and whatnot. I'm going to compare Jack Grealish to Morgan Rogers because it always feels like he's always linked back to his former club, Aston Villa, every single season, because I feel like it's a bit of a lazy link. I don't know. Obviously, you know, when it's not working out for some whatever reason, they try and link you back to your former club because he did so well. Jack Grealish has 0.41 dribbles per match, which equals to a 59.09 dribbles success rate. And then if you compare that to Morgan Rogers, who's got 1.78 dribbles per match, which equals to 47.14 dribble success rate. So from that point of view, right, I feel like Morgan Rogers has a lower dribble success rate because of how many more minutes he's played in the Premier League compared to Jack Grealish. So like, what that sort of means, he's attempted more one-on-ones against defenders, against midfielders and whatnot. I think that's the main reason anyway. Let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. I'm trying to get into more stats, and I don't know if I'm actually right or not, so I could be wrong. But I feel like that's the main reason. I'm not too sure. Anyways, whatever way you want to spin it, it just hasn't been a successful time for Jack Grealish at Manchester City. I think the next best thing for me, my final thoughts on Jack Grealish this season, he has to move away just to get more minutes under his belt, try and get back into that England team, because on his day, Jack Grealish honestly was one of my favourite Aston Villa players I've ever seen at the club. He honestly truly is. He truly is a special world-class talent on his day, and we just haven't seen his day for the last 3 to 4 seasons. Don't get me wrong, he has a few decent performances here and there for Manchester City. He's had good games where he's linked up with Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, or Kevin De Bruyne, all these attacking players. He will perform to a high standard at Manchester City. He has done, but he hasn't been consistent enough. And I feel like if he joins an Aston Villa, an Everton, a West Ham, I do truly feel like he will get back to his best, because he honestly is a player that should be running the midfield. He can just make anything out of nothing, Jack Grealish. He truly can. And I feel like he just needs to get more minutes under his belt to make him more consistent, to get him back into that England side. For me, I want him to join an Everton just because I don't want to see him in another claret and blue shirt, okay? I don't want to see him join a West Ham because that might break my heart a little bit, okay, from an Aston Villa fan perspective. For me, it's sort of been a little bit hard to sort of see Jack Grealish's downfall at Man City, because he did truly have everything to become a world-class player. And I still do feel like there's a player in there, but he just needs to leave to benefit his career and whatnot. A lot of fans were calling out for him at the Euros, at the World Cup, to be that main player for England. And even though he didn't have that much success for England, there were a few moments here and there again. I just don't see it under Man City. I don't see him being successful under Man City. I don't see him getting enough minutes. I don't see Pep Guardiola trusting him. And I feel like now that Churchy has also been signed on that left winger position for Manchester City, I feel like it's almost game over for Jack Grealish at Man City now. So I feel like for all parties, it has to be the most beneficial move for him to leave Manchester City in the summer. And it will be really interesting to see where he actually does end up, because I feel like Everton might actually be the best option for him. When you think of David Moyes and his sort of players that he's had over the recent seasons, like a Jared Bowen, he got the best out of him, scoring loads of goals for West Ham, winning them the Conference League a few seasons ago. So maybe you could do a similar position with Jack Grealish on the left-hand side, we don't know. And, you know, he's definitely a fantastic manager, David Moyes, at getting the most out of those, you know, talented players previously in his other jobs. So I feel like David Moyes, you can trust to get the most out of you compared to like a Graham Potter at West Ham currently, because for me, we just don't know how long that will last. For me, let's say if West Ham start off and have a poor season to start off with next year, we just don't know how long Graham Potter would be in the job, because you've seen throughout his managerial career, he's sort of flip-flopped different jobs, hasn't he? Whether that's Brighton, Chelsea, now West Ham. We just don't know. And even like in the Championship with Swansea and somebody else probably in there. I'm pretty sure he had another Championship team on his CV. Let me know if I'm wrong again, I'm not too sure. But for me, Jack Grealish will forever go down as an Aston Villa legend. I don't care what anybody says. I know he left in poor circumstances. He didn't do that video that everybody was sort of wanting him to do. It was more of a lazy PR quote from on Instagram and whatnot. So from that perspective, I can understand why people don't really like him as much. But for me, I don't care what he did for Aston Villa. You know, getting them back promoted to the Premier League, making them more of a stable club, and sort of gave them the pedigree to go on and push on to being a Champions League club, a Europa League club, you know, to push into Europe, and to have these managers like Unai Emery and have all these players like Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio and all these high-level names join the club because of what Jack Grealish put in place a few seasons ago. Okay, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying all the other players that played for Aston Villa back in those days, but he was the main player in that team. So for me, I really do want Jack Grealish to get back to his best, because he was an amazing player. So yeah, let's just end the video with some questions, okay? How do we feel about Jack Grealish as a player? What went wrong for him at Manchester City? Do we think he can get back to his best at the likes of an Aston Villa, and Everton, a West Ham? Where do you want to see him get a transfer to in the summer? And yeah, those are all my questions. But before that, as always, like, comment, subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and it goes a long way in helping us build a small community on my channel. Now, this is the first time I've done this type of video where I'm highlighting one key player in particular, and let me know if you want to see it again in the comments down below. I do want to do a video about John Duran, okay, because I really do find that player very, very fascinating. Obviously, he spent, I want to say, 1.5 seasons at Aston Villa, and he sort of came out of nowhere. Nobody really knew him, and, you know, he turned into an absolute world beater. So, and I just want to discuss that really with you guys and let you guys know about how I feel about the player and his transfer to Saudi, to Al Nassr. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.